What is up, ladies and gentlemen? CJ the Cheese DJ here, and we are back with a brand new top 10 video for you guys today. And today we are covering top 10 worst creatures to tame in all of Ark. Now guys, we'll be starting at number 10 and making our way down to number 1, where number 1 is the absolute worst creature to tame up. Now guys, before I start the video, I just want to say a huge shout out and thank you to all the recent subscribers, all the people watching the videos. Thanks very much guys, I appreciate it. Also, if you want to host your own server for Ark, check out the Nitrado link down below in the description. Not only will you be helping me out, but you'll also get a discount for yourself. So guys, without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. Alrighty guys, coming in at number 10, we have the Pelagornis. Now, the Pelagornis, in my opinion, is pretty much just not a waste of space, but he isn't a very good creature to tame up, hence why he's on the list. Now, this guy is pretty much a Pteranodon that can float on water, I suppose, but he's slower than a Pteranodon, and he's got worse stamina than a Pteranodon, I believe. So, he's not that great. He doesn't have that many uses. You can obviously fish off the back of him if you're in the water, but I mean, you can do that in like close proximity to small rivers and lakes and stuff like that. And he also gets attacked by Megalodons and everything that is under the water. So it can be really annoying for this guy. The one positive of him, I guess, is that you can replenish your stamina while sitting on the water. But other than that, this guy doesn't really do much aside from harvest fish meat, and that is pretty much it, and swim on the water. So, I mean, he's a very select tame that few people actually enjoy. But for me, I feel like he's one of the worst creatures in Ark, and that is why he's got the number 10 spot. Now guys, next up on the list at number 9, we have the Gallimimus. Now, the Gallimimus once again deserves its spot here. I haven't seen anybody ever tame these things up. Granted, they are fast, they've got the passenger rides, and they can jump, but that is literally all they've got going for themselves. Other than that, they're really weak. If you get caught up in like a raptor fight or something like that, these guys will get absolutely shredded. As well as that, these guys don't take decreased fall damage. So if you pump these guys' movement speed right up and you launch yourself off, for example, this little cliff here, you're going to take fall damage. Now, we're obviously not going to take it because we have creative mode on. So let's turn that right off. But because fall damage does a percentage of damage to the actual tame's health, these guys can die really quickly to fall damage. Okay, that wasn't a great example. But yeah, you know, they don't have any sort of use. They can attack, but like, what good is that going to do? These guys are not made for attacking. They're made for running and sprinting and getting out of places. But there are definitely better mounts out there that you want to tame up, and these guys, in my opinion, are a waste of a tame slot. So I would definitely recommend staying away from one of these guys, and that is why they are number 9 on the worst creatures to tame. Alrighty guys, coming in at number 8, we have the Pachy. Now, the Pachy is just one of those tames that the devs put in Ark, and they were like, let's just put him in there for looking cool. These guys really do not contribute much to the world of Ark, in my opinion. You pretty much just see them normally getting killed by stuff, especially raptors. But these guys are an annoying tame to tame up in themselves due to their headbutt and their ability to deal torpor damage to you. But other than that, they like don't do anything. Like, yes, they do torpor damage, but why are you going to bother using one of these dudes when you've got trank arrows that deal more damage and more torpor damage? You know, even when you're starting off, players don't bother taming these guys up because they don't have any use. You know, even as a starting mount, they are pretty horrible because, you know, they do deal the damage. They can put up a fight against other things, but if you're fighting raptors, which you will most likely be fighting, you can just get grappled off the back of these guys and get taken out. Granted, the Pachy might kill or knock out the raptor. Against a pack of raptors, you're pretty screwed. Now, as well as that, like I said, these guys are really annoying to tame because of their ability to knock you out. And if you do shoot them in the head as well, they have the same sort of trike passive where they take the reduced damage. So once again, that is another annoyance, and I just find that these guys are one of the worst creatures to tame. Even their eggs don't contribute to anything due to the new kibble system, and they're just all around pretty annoying tames. You can go out and tame a raptor in less time than you can a Pachy, and the raptor will serve you better than this little dude. So guys, let's move on to number 7. Alrighty guys, next up at number 7, we have the Manta. Now, the Manta, in my opinion, once again, is one of the worst creatures to tame in Ark, because once again, he just doesn't really do anything. You can obviously use this guy to get around the ocean in semi-decent speed, but you have better mounts that are available to you. For example, the Dolphin, the Ichthys, yes, it is annoying to tame, but it is not as annoying as the Manta. Because the Manta requires, oh god, bug repellent in order to tame up, and, you know, they can easily drown on the beach when you are taming them up, because that is where they found. As well as that, they really don't do much damage to creatures, and they have a really low health pool. You can see here that our little dude is getting mauled on by a bunch of sharks. Okay, this isn't working. We're going to showcase the other little damage bit that he does. Let's just give ourselves another one, and you can see just like that, he's dead. So if these guys get in any real fight, they are going to get destroyed ASAP because they just don't have decent stats. Let's just get on him real quick. There we go. So the real thing with the mantas is that you want to swim away from predators, but these guys have horrible weight as well, so you know there's no real use for them in the niche of Ark unless you want to just kind of cruise around on them, which for a PvE server, don't get me wrong, is great, but for a PvP server I just really don't see the use of these guys. You can obviously jump out of the water with them, but if you do land on land and you can't get back in the water, you are pretty screwed because these guys will take continuous damage until they die. As soon as they come into contact with the land, you can see there, boom. Look at that damage coming in. So if you accidentally overextend a landing and you land on the land, you're pretty screwed. Well, not you, but your manta is. So that is all that there really is for these guys. They don't passively produce anything. The only thing they have going for themselves is that they are fast underwater and they can jump. But guys, that's the manta at number 7. Let's move on to number 6. Alrighty guys, next up on the list at number 6, we have the Dimetrodon. Now, the Dimetrodon, in my opinion, is probably one of the worst creatures to tame. Obviously, this is what the whole list is about, because he is not a ridiculously hard tame, but he's a ridiculously time-consuming tame. And for what he does, it's not really worth it, because you can actually build something that does what he does. So the Dimetrodon pretty much acts as an insulator. So you can use this guy to incubate eggs, to keep yourself nice and warm, to keep yourself nice and cool, any of the above. However, in order for him to do so, you actually need to buff his melee damage to as high as it can be. So every time you buff his melee damage, it increases the amount of heat or coldness that he gives off himself. But it is still not enough to incubate most eggs, which is really annoying. So for the same amount of time you could spend going out to try and find a high level Dimetrodon that has high melee damage, you can actually just build aircons that do the exact same thing and actually do it better. The aircons don't require food to feed, you can stick batteries in the aircons, that sort of thing. As well as that, taming these guys up is pretty annoying because their torpor, it drops really fast. Like, I'm talking faster than a giga, I'm pretty sure. So that is why the Dimetrodons come in at number 6. Let's move on to number 5. Alrighty guys, coming in at number 5, we have the Salamander Newt Dinosaur, the Diplocalus. Now, this guy comes in at number 5 because, once again, he just does not fit a role in Ark. You can obviously use him to go deep diving in the depths of the ocean. You can ride him. He is able to attack. His attacks are absolutely pathetic, and you will get absolutely mauled to death by anything you come into contact with. Now, the only perk of this guy is that he provides you with oxygen, but, you know, there is an actual item you can make that gives you oxygen, you know, an oxygen bloody tank. So other than that, this guy literally has no other use in the game except to provide oxygen to the player. Granted, it could be possible for low-level players to utilize this guy, but I have actually tamed one of these guys up and then gone after like anglerfish and stuff like that, and this guy got absolutely destroyed by a single anglerfish. So in my opinion, he's really not worth it, and he's definitely one of the worst creatures to tame. In terms of taming him, he's a simple tame. You knock out, feed him meat, that is all it is, but he's definitely not worth it, and I would not recommend to tame this guy up. So let's move on to the next one. Alrighty guys, and coming in at number 4, we have the Titanoboa. Now, these guys are tameable if you weren't aware, and the way you tame these guys up is you pretty much drop fertilized eggs onto them, pretty similar to the basilisk, and this guy will eat them, taming him up. Now, you can't actually ride this guy either, which is, it's a shame because he's a gigantic freaking snake, so it would make sense for him to be able to be ridden, especially considering how small the character is. Look at that midsection though. So this guy is absolutely worthless to tame. Like, the only thing I can see him being used for is to sort of defend the base, but these guys are really buggy, they're really glitchy, and they really don't do too much damage. We'll show you here on the trike. Let's see if he wants to listen to the trike. Is he going to attack it? There we go. You can see there, he's going for the trike. He only deals 81 damage. He's weak. He's only got about a K health. So these guys really are not worth taming whatsoever. Before, they were semi-decent to tame because they dropped Titanoboa eggs, which were useful for taming up certain dinos because that was what their kibble was. But now they're just I just don't think you should bother taming these guys up whatsoever. There's no value in taming these guys up, and that is why they are number 4 on the list. So guys, let's move on to number 3. Alrighty guys, now coming in at number 3, we have the Archaeopteryx. Now, in hindsight, this guy probably should have been above the Titanoboa, I think, because this guy definitely has more use than the Titanoboa, so I apologize for that. So technically the Archaeopteryx should be number 4, but this guy is pretty much a hang glider. However, the downside to this guy is that you have to constantly carry him around with you everywhere you go, which can be really annoying. So in order to tame this guy up, you have to find him in the redwoods, and it can be annoying, it can be difficult, and if you do manage to find him and don't knock him out, he runs up trees. And you're kind of just like, well, this is great. Now, he does eat chitin as well, and this guy's gliding ability is influenced by your movement speed. So the higher your movement speed, the quicker you will go, and you can see here our movement speed is in the hundreds. So it's pretty ridiculous. But this guy does have his uses, which is why he should have probably been at number 4 in hindsight. But he's still a pretty worthless tame. Like, you've got parachutes for this very reason, and you don't have to carry around an annoying Archaeopteryx on your shoulders, where you could have that slot better suited for, I don't know, a vulture or an otter or something like that, you know? So the Archaeopteryx, guys, comes in at number 3, but he really should come in at number 4. Let's move on to number 2. Now, guys, coming in at number 2, we have the Mesopithecus. Now, the Mesopithecus is pretty worthless. Like, he actually really doesn't do much. So as well as that, taming these guys is a pain in the ass. So pretty much to tame these guys up, you have to find them in the wild. They're passive tame, so you have to passively feed them berries. However, if you get too close to them, they get spooked and they actually run away. So that is a real big bummer on you, and because they're so small and they are extremely fast, you can actually lose sight of them, and then the whole tame just goes down the drain, and it's really bad. Like, it's really annoying. Now, one thing that they can do is they can pretty much throw poop at enemies. So if you get into a bit of a brawl while these guys are on your shoulder, they will actually throw poop at whatever you are attacking. You can see he's going to throw some. Come on, buddy. There we go. You can see that he pulls it out of his butt and throws it at the dino. This does slow them down temporarily, so it does possibly have its uses. But once again, you could easily slot something better onto your shoulder, and it would be much more valuable in my opinion than a Mesopithecus. Although the token value of having a monkey suit on your shoulder, pulling poo out of its butt and throwing it at your enemies, does have some comedic value to it. But this guy is still really useless, and he is one of the worst creatures to tame. So guys, let's move on to number 1. Alrighty guys, and finally coming in at number 1 on the list, we have the Compy. The Compy, hands down, is one of, well, the worst creature in my opinion to tame, and I would not bother wasting your time taming this little dude up. So the Compy is pretty much a very, 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 very small Dillo slash raptor, I guess you could call it, where all he does is attack things. That is it. Now, in order to tame these guys up, you have to feed them prime meat, which once again is an annoyance in themselves, and their hitbox is really small, so hitting them with trank darts or trank arrows can also kill them as well, and they're just really useless. Like, they don't really do any sort of damage. They've got tiny amounts of health. Granted, they do get a pack bonus when they fight in a pack, but who the hell is going to tame up a pack of Compies and use them to attack stuff? Like, why would you bother doing that for? So guys, in my opinion, the Compy hands down is the worst creature to tame in all of Ark. You can see there, just like that, he got absolutely demolished. I wouldn't bother wasting your time on taming up a Compy. Their eggs don't do anything. They really don't do anything. And that is why they are the worst creature to tame in Ark, in my opinion. So guys, that's going to wrap up the video today. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know whether or not you changed anything about the list. There was one dino that I was tempted to put in there, but I didn't. And that is the female Megaloceros. Pretty much it's a glorified version of a Gallimimus, or a dumbed down version, I guess. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. But other than that, guys, thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.